I said today the two stories in the NFL at quarterback that are fascinating are what is JJ McCarthy and who will win the Browns starting job? Because so tomorrow, or the time this airs, it's mandatory minicamp. This is not voluntary OTA. So veterans can show up. And my argument is this owner, Jimmy Haslam, drafted Johnny Manziel and Baker Mayfield and signed Deshaun Watson to an egregiously bad contract. He's desperate for a star at quarterback. He wants a star at quarterback. Well, Kenny Pickett's got no juice. Dylan Gabriel's 5'8". Joe Flacco's old. Shedeur is the only potential star. And if you look at the first 5 weeks, it's 5 top 10 offenses, then Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. And it's a lot of dynamic offenses and dynamic quarterbacks, Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. And again, Tua and Mike McDaniel. There's a lot of powerful offenses. If they're dull in the first 6 weeks, because they don't have a very good roster, they're probably a 4 to 6 win team. My take is Jimmy Haslam's going to make a call and say, I want Shedeur Sanders. History tells me this owner, we've seen this. We saw the late, great Jim Irsay get pissed off because Carson Wentz had a bad game in Jacksonville, and they shipped him out of town after a 27-7 season, a 27 touchdown, 7 pick season. Carson Wentz, that was his last good year. I think Shedeur, the star power will matter. In 90% of markets, it doesn't. Cleveland at quarterback, it does. So my guess is there's a lot of dull, small, old. Shedeur by week 8 is starting. Do you think I'm out of my mind?
Well, you're on board. I know you've been making, tongue in cheek. Flacco's going to start week 1, right?
Yes.
Are you on board there? Okay.
Yes.
If it gets to a point, the team's not going to be very good. The defense can only carry you so long in the NFL. It's an offensive league now with the rules. If they force him to start Shedeur Sanders and the coach doesn't want to play him, I do think Kevin Stefanski by the end of the year will just quit. It'll be one of those situations where Stefanski and Barry, who are very highly thought of, and I was actually in the car today. I was listening to your show when you gave me a little shout out talking about how it was clear during the draft, right? They overdrafted Gabriel to keep the owner off their back, and then the kid kept falling, and then he made him draft him.
Yeah, you came up with that. I didn't. I think it's true because I asked GMs about Dylan Gabriel, and they're like, he's not a third-round draft pick.
I knew people that thought the guy was undraftable because of his size. Not that he's not. I mean, he was an excellent college player, and very productive. But going in the third round, I think, was a jarring move for a lot of teams. Like, wow. And I truly believe they did it. And if it's the visuals of the owner hovering over him, but he was there in the 5th round, I do think you have to make plays in practice. I mean, they do have some the Myles Garretts and these guys that are playing every week in the NFL. It's not like some of these other sports in baseball or basketball where you kind of go through the motions. Even if your team is out of it, you still practice is hard. The games are hard. So if you make a guy the starter, he better be showing something, especially if he's running the scout team. I remember when Purdy became the starter, when Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance went down, it was easy to justify to the team because the Fred Warners and the Bosas were like, we love this guy in practice. We've been seeing him kick. Goes back to the Rodgers and some of these guys that run the scout team. They earn street cred with the team. And I do think you throw a guy like that in, the coach and the GM wouldn't just be behind the scenes like, what are we doing? The team could quit on you. But the owner has proven that he doesn't really care. I get asked a lot, how can these owners be so successful in whatever line of work they do and then such bad owners? And I do, the thing with football that's different than just running a trucking company or Tepper and an investing firm, you can just buy your way out of stuff once you get so much capital and resources. In football, everyone, the salary cap's salary cap. You only have a limited amount of draft picks.
That's right.
And once you invest in a couple guys, they do get a huge piece of your puzzle, right? Like in Flying J, if you buy the wrong building, whatever, 10 million or a write off to the next thing. In football, they got rid of Russell Wilson in Denver. It really crippled their cap immediately, right? So you can't just buy your way out of stuff regardless how much cash the owner actually has in his pocket.
If you care about NBA history, you need to check this out. One move changed everything. The all-new series, The Grudge from Vice Sports is must-watch. This week's episode takes us back to 1995 when Pat Riley left the Knicks, not in a press conference, but with a fax. Then he joined the Miami Heat, created a franchise we know today. That one move lit the fuse in a rivalry and defined both teams for years. Relive the twists and turns and look behind the curtain what really was going on. The finale of The Grudge unpacks every angle, the betrayal, the bad blood, the battles on the court that followed. It's great. Watch The Grudge finale Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, only on Vice TV. Find your channel at vicetv.com. Well, Elon Musk is finding this out with government. Government's not a business, right?
No.
Like yeah, I mean, the bottom line between Medicare and Medicaid and veteran benefits and Social Security and military spending, 90% of our budget, there's not a lot of tweaking. You got about 10% of the budget you can toy with. So Elon Musk comes in and says, I'm going to get rid of $2 trillion. Bro, if you can get rid of 600 million, you've done it with Doge. You've done a remarkable job because so much of it's baked in. It's the same way in the NFL. You got to pay a left tackle, a quarterback, an edge rusher, at least one legitimate corner, 2 weapons. You have to hit on draft picks. Like if you don't hit on draft picks, if you have a bad interior O-line, you can't pay for it. That's why, Chicago now is like loading up on Joe Tooney, Jonah Jackson, Drew Dahlman. It's like they can't do that in 2 years or 3 years with Caleb Williams. You're just limited. There's a certain structure of our government and a certain structure in the NFL. Rich doesn't solve everything.
Yeah, and when you miss on the quarterback as they did, you're just screwed, right? If I flip-flop Joe Burrow from the Bengals to the Browns and give them Deshaun Watson, the Bengals are a 2-win team and the Browns are in the playoffs every year, right? So it can't just be that simple. And I think a guy like Jimmy Haslam clearly hasn't learned his lesson because everyone thinks that he forced Shedeur Sanders on them.
Yes.
Even I saw some visuals of David Tepper. These owners are just, it's like their pet project, and they're sitting there in the draft room that they can't help themselves. And it's why the best owners, honestly, you pick the player. I know nothing about football. I just want to enjoy it, make the money. I'm empowering you. And that's the thing with the Browns. Like their GM is highly thought of around the league. I think most people think Kevin Stefanski, really sharp, impressive offensive mind. It's hard to operate with an owner hovering over you and making you do things. I also think it's a weird spot for Shedeur. Like his skill set doesn't have a huge arm. I think there are a couple divisions when you have, like, look at most quarterbacks that thrive in the NFC and AFC East and the AFC North. It gets freezing cold. The wind pumps. Chicago, like Caleb Williams, Jay Cutler. You're not going to have a weak. Andy Dalton's not going to have success there. Go back to New York. Eli Manning, big arm. Tom Brady, it's cold. It's hard. Like, that's not, to me, if he would have gone to a dome team, I think it would have been better. I do think it could be difficult playing in those environments, but I'm with you. Like, do I like him as a prospect better than Dylan Gabriel? Hell yeah. I do think, though, when you get these dynamics of like, well, the coach and the GM want to do this, the owner wants to do this, things just get weird in any walk of life. I mean, in any profession. And I think that they're already the push and pull. Deion's chiming in. We haven't even started. This thing is going to, once Flacco week 3, they're 0-3, throws 3 picks. There's not a fan in the world that's going to want to watch Joe Flacco take another snap after about September.
Sorry to interrupt this great video, but please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you. Now back to the video.